Welcome to everybody. Very warm welcome for all who are joining us here in our webinar today. So we will wait one more minute so just people can connect. And maybe I can start with the preliminaries. So this meeting is being recorded. So if you're taking the opportunity of doing questions and so on, and if you're opening your camera, you're agreeing to that that this recording will be posted on YouTube afterwards, so everybody can recap what we were talking about. I'm very happy that we can be here today with such thrilling topics and very cutting edge topics. I think sometimes maybe regions seem that they like playing in the second league, but I think we today we will be able to show that regions are also playing in the very first league. So welcome everybody. We invite you to join with your camera switched on. You might have noticed that this is the first edition of our Catalonia Tech Talks, and of course it's being recorded. As I said, the idea is to share it via our ministry's YouTube channel afterwards, and if you participate with video and audio, you're agreeing to that publication. So it's our first webinar on Tech Talks, but it's not our first webinars on as a whole. So the format will be as always. It's an hour more or less of webinar, and we will have half an hour of keynotes from our speakers today. And afterwards, there will be opportunity for Q&As from the public. So I'm very pleased to announce our first speaker is Verónica Tercero from NewSpace, Strategy Coordinator of the Government of Catalonia. And our second speaker, hello, Verónica.
Hello.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you very much.
And our second speaker will be Bärbel Deisting she's the Director of Space and Space Applications from BavAIRia, the Bavarian cluster for aeronautics, aerospace, and aerospace applications. And our moderator for the Q&A session will be Mercè Ardiaca, our Institutional Relations Officer at the Delegation. So we will have those insights from Verónica Tercero and Bärbel Deisting for a quarter of an hour from each one, and afterwards there's this Q&A session. So have fun, enjoy, and I'm looking forward for many, many new insights. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Marie. And yeah, I'm pleased to be participating in this Catalonia Tech Talks. So let me share the screen now. Let me check. It's here. Please tell me if you are seeing it okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So, well, let me explain you that Catalonia, it's a really robust digital hub in Europe. And let me, is here, yes. And then from the Government of Catalonia, to incentivize this, we are promoting, and concretely from the Secretariat for Digital Policies in the Ministry of Business and Labor, we are promoting different programs, what we call strategies, to boost these digital ecosystems because they can provide us economical growth, improvement in the way that our productive sectors embrace the digital transformation, and even for the transformation of the administration itself and the way we are providing services to our citizens. So before getting into the NewSpace strategy, yes, let me explain you why we were approving this strategy, because really in Catalonia, we have a space sector with solid foundations of companies, research centers, universities, as well as a powerful entrepreneurship ecosystem. So the strategy was approved on October 2020. And if I had to summarize the role of the government, I would say a couple of words. Then after we will talk about that, that is connectors and tractors. And this strategy couldn't be the same without our great partners in the field that are three institutions: the Institute of Space Study of Catalonia, IEEC, a center on space science and technology with a whole area that is promoting the ecosystem here in Catalonia. The I2CAT Foundation, that is a center expert on advanced digital technologies and space communications, and the Cartographical and Geological Institute of Catalonia, that is our geoinformation agency. So the NewSpace strategy, it has a set of working lines through 6 different axes. So in the end, we are promoting the ecosystem and connecting all the agents. We are fostering research and innovation, but with a great focus on transfer. For that, we are investing in certain infrastructures that facilitate this matureness of the research and innovation, and also different instruments in the adoption of these solutions, like use cases, pilots. We will talk about that, that help also mature this research. And for sure, the talent. I mean, talent is one of the key points in the strategy. So working on the generation, attraction, and retention of talent. And then we have also an access regarding regulatory framework. And this is because we'll talk about that. Regions can have a voice now in the space sector. And we'll talk about that and how we are working on it. And let me share with you that at this moment, we are at a turning point. Last year, and still finalizing the fine tuning now, we are working on the strategic plan 25-30. So this year is kind of transition. Yes, as we are at this point now, instead of talking about the different projects we have in the different axes, I would like to share with you some highlights and insights regarding the point we are now. So regarding ecosystem, we started mapping all the agents that were in place in Catalonia, working fully on a space, or even having some lines of business or work related with the space. And here, the main instrument that has worked really well for us is the Digital Catalonia Alliance, DCA, a community, a kind of umbrella that has all the digital communities inside regarding all the fields that the government is promoting. So we have communities regarding not just NewSpace, but also artificial intelligence, drones, cybersecurity, IoT, and somehow with the objective of trying to working transversally in improving the solutions that can be provided, and also fostering the collaboration between the different ecosystems. Here at this moment, let's say that this is not a cluster. So this instrument also is helping connecting now clusters and other initiatives, public and private, that are taking place in the same Catalonia. So we have an example with Aeros, a cluster that is starting, and more on the aeronautical side, but with, let's say, lines of collaboration with us, and also clusters all around Spain, that are really important to foster, this regional collaboration with other entities even in Spain. And then with regarding ecosystem, I would highlight 3 main lines of work. So we have the activities for dynamizing, and here I want to highlight the Congress, an international Congress we have, the NewSpace Strategy Congress, that this year will take place on July 3rd and 4th, and that became an international Congress on 2023. Since that date, we are inviting each year an international ecosystem to the Congress. So we have had Flanders, Scotland, and this year we'll have Occitanie from France. Here you have the website. So in case you're interested, I'm taking this opportunity to invite you all to our Congress. And also, as a space is a global sector, helping the ecosystem in their internationalization activities is really important. So till now, the missions we have worked on are done when we have a specific events in the space sector that are really important. So we have, for example, always going to AAC when it takes place in Europe, and also this year will be at the Space Tech Expo in Bremen. So again, if you are there, so we will be more than happy to talk with you there. And different forums where also the entities we work with are attending, also to understand what's going on and help the ecosystem, with contacts and collaborations. And finally, I want to highlight one important point for us, that is to boost the entrepreneurship. So we have want to accompany the companies, the enterprises, through all their matureness levels. So we have collaborations in pre-incubation, but also we have the business incubator of the European Space Agency in Barcelona, ISABIC. And also we have an acceleration program that is coordinated by IEC together with the company Starbucks, that has a lot of experience in accelerating programs all around Europe. I mean, this part is really important because really startups, we think, are key in the whole sector at this moment, and their collaboration with the more established companies can help a lot in accelerating the innovation cycles. So, I mean, connecting all these actors, we think is really important at this moment. And then regarding research and innovation, we are talking about research on space, but also digital technologies. We have great actors in the field in different aspects, but let me highlight now the strategies we are following to focus this research and innovation on transfer. So one of the important lines is the cross-fertilization with our other research areas like cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, quantum, also the positioning and navigation from these LEO layers with these small satellites. So all these fields are very important, and for sure the public and private collaboration is key for focusing on transfer. For example, an important exercise is going on at this moment with IEEC, that is the mapping of not just research centers, but also research lines of work. Some of them really focus on space, but some of them potentially important in space. And this exercise can help us a lot connecting then these research centers with our ecosystem. And then through the strategy, we have lines of work that can help maturing this innovation. So for example, on the infrastructure side, facilitating the ecosystem access to testing facilities in the region. Or also, we will talk about that, we have missions and we are providing IOD in orbit demonstrator opportunities to the ecosystem to finally test things in space. And also regarding the adoption of services with these pilots and end users to test these solutions is also helping, as I was mentioning, these research lines. And one of the things that are very important, so attracting new activity. And I just wanted to give this recent example with Philip, Spain. This is one of the important programs of the European Space Agency in order to work through transformative innovation. In this case, this the Spanish program was awarded by the consortium led by IEEC, and it's focused on climate resilience. So we have really here a pole of innovation that will be centered on this topic, and that aligns a lot with the green transition policies we have at the government. And then regarding infrastructure, let me highlight why we are launching missions. First of all, regarding, for example, the communications side, we have launched a couple of missions. And here, for me, is the example of public and private collaboration. So together with a company that was really in the consortium, trying to mature what is called the Narrowband IoT 5G standard to become a standard. So these missions are having really a great contribution on that. Then we have other type of missions also related with research. So for example, by the end of this year, there will be one related with 6G lab in space. And this one is a project, a future project, where we are fostering international collaboration to have kind of testing regarding inter-satellite links. So these are examples of missions and what we are working on. But regarding Earth's observation, so here I wanted to highlight something very important. We have one mission in space and a second one by the end of this year, starting the 2026. And I want to highlight the concept of mission as a service. So here, all these missions, by the way, I'm talking about, we are tender them through IEEC and the I2CAT Foundation. But always under the concept of this mission as a service. So we have a company that is awarded for building the satellite and launch it and work on the mission. But the government is just contracting data from Catalonia. So this is a way also for helping these companies tracking their business outside, so they can use data and the satellite for their commercial purpose outside this data from Catalonia. Also, as I mentioned, the IoT opportunities and starting, the thinking, maybe we can talk later about, the need of sharing constellation capacities. And in this sense is why regarding the data or the images that come from this mission is something that we put in open as open access through, for example, this has recently been done for Menut. So providing all the images from Catalonia that this mission is collecting. So this way we can help the downstream sector, with more tools and so. So not just the images, but also data sets that can be used and well calibrated for their usage in building their applications. And then just highlight one thing. You will see sometimes strange names like this one. And then some of the missions, we have names like Menut and Shaneta, Minairo. This is also another, line that related with missions, that is a contest we are doing with children in Catalonia in order to put the name of the satellite. And this is amazing. It's something, a simple action that, boost a lot of conversations in families and so related with space. So really, really nice activity. And then ground-based assets. So here we have other assets that can help us also in international collaborations. I think the sharing of infrastructures. So for example, ground-based assets that communicate with the satellites and so are, opportunities of international collaborations. And also, let's say in the testing side, as I was mentioning before, we have the map of facilities, of testing facilities in Catalonia, and again, possible lines of collaboration with other entities. So for example, I go back to the previous because we are working in a kind of installation regarding to rocket engines, testing rocket engines. There are few in Europe, and yes, I'm working with green propellant, even less. So this is part of the testing infrastructures that can address these collaborations. And regarding the adoption of services, I would say, well, we have different instruments. to implement, let's say, use cases and test, solutions and applications that use space data. Here, I wanted to highlight how, we have incredible technologies related with Earth observation, communications, positioning, but still we have a lot of challenges in working in their adoption, because still for other productive sectors, space seems something really far and not close to the option of solving a lot of their challenges. So we have a lot to work here, and one of the things we are figuring out these days is how to promote public policies that could help in the adoption of these solutions. So for example, enabling these solutions to work on subsidies, on certification of certain things. So different procedures that we are working with our citizens. And talent. So here in talent, we have different activities. I'm not going through all of them, but starting, just wanted to highlight things. So these first two are related with children at a school. And so we are trying to foster the STEM vocations and also the research vocations. And here for me, the key point is working with our education department. It's not just about doing some activities outside and so, but the impact comes when you get into the classroom. And here is key, the work with teachers that we are following. So, and then at the university moment, so very important, the connection between the university, the students, and the ecosystem, the local ecosystem. Because sometimes in the head of students, we have these big corporations and so, but sometimes we need to work on the visualization of the innovative ecosystem we have. And regarding professionals, one key word that is really boosting the work we are doing here now, that is reskilling. So we have a lot of, let's say, not just engineers working in mechanicals, electricals that are in different sectors, but also other, let's say, disciplines that can work easily in the space sector. So, and trying to figure out how to work on these reskilling activities. And finally, we have the regulatory framework. Here I wanted to highlight how now we have different entities and organisms that allow the regional voice. And in this point, it was decided that IEC, through the area for promotion of the Catalan space sector, would represent us in those forums. So we have Nereos, URISAI, AIF, we have SME for Space. We have different institutions where IAC is, working on. Also, for example, all the connection with the Spanish Space Agency. So all this is really, really important for, be aware of what's going on, kind of lobby on the needs and challenges for our ecosystem, and the promotion. Really important for the promotion. Regarding the strategic plan I was mentioning before, for us is a way of looking at the more stability of this initiative. So for example, till now we have been working with annual budgets, and with the strategic plan now we will be able to work on what we call the pluriannual budgets that will give more stability to the promotion of the sector we are doing. And regarding, I just wanted finally to highlight, I would say the best initiative we have here in the regulatory framework, that is the DITA initiative. DITA stands for a Disruptive and Emerging Technology Alliance. And well, it's let's say a kind of policy lab where governments that represent one of the most important digital hubs and tech hubs in the world try to collaborate, or want to collaborate in fostering innovation while trying to figure out, well, how to face challenges regarding the disruption of certain technologies, how we can boost the ecosystems through the promotion of public policies, and so on. So we have different work groups in these fields. One of them is NewSpace. And in the NewSpace work group, we have all these regions. Azores just entering in the working group too, from Portugal, BavAIRia, Buenos Aires, Catalonia, Costa Rica. This is the only state we have in the group. Emilia-Romagna from Italy, Occitanie from France, Scotland, UK, and South Australia. And here I'm highlighting a couple of initiatives that are, within this group. The one related with sustainability. So we have the zero debris chapter. Well, ministers and delegates participating in DITA's first annual summit on last November decided to endorse this initiative promoted by the European Space Agency. So the Zero Debris Charter is leading somehow an initiative aiming to make the future space missions debris neutral by 2030. And somehow by supporting this initiative, DITA governments align ourselves with the global efforts to develop a more sustainable space industry. So we are working in having an endorsement signature act by in the next edition of the NewSpace Congress next July. So we are working on that. And the second one is, also known by a lot of this, a kind of advocacy strategy on the European Space Act. So as you may know, the European Commission is expected to present a proposal on the European Space Act in the coming weeks, so somehow between April and June. And since that moment, what is going to happen is that, well, the responsibility will turn into two co-legislators, one, the European Parliament, and the Council. And they will have to discuss and eventually agree on a final text. This whole process can take between 12 and 24 months. And, and during this time, we have the opportunity and want to have the opportunity to raise the regional voice. And we have invited DITA members to join us in this advocacy strategy. So, well, till now, this is all I wanted to share with you today. And yeah, I will be more than happy to answer questions later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Verónica, for this awesome, amazing presentation. I would like to hand over now to Bärbel Deisting. She will also share with us a presentation about the same extent. And after that, we will open the mics for the general public so that they can pose their question. Bärbel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. I'm going to give you some insights, new space from a regional perspective. When talking on new space, it is important to start from a common understanding. So I did a small research. There are many definitions available, but all have in common the following key characteristics. New space means private sector-led, includes a commercial focus, innovation, cost reduction, and often a PPP approach. This led me to the following definitions mentioned by the European Space Policy Institute. And they are my starting point for today's presentation, as well as the following discussions. The new space ecosystem is a business-driven dynamic of the space sector, which is characterized by a substantial increase of private investment and commercial endeavor seeking to develop disruptive industrial and business concepts to address new markets. And I added a second definition, and both of them are building the base for what we are discussing right now, as far as I see. Moreover, when talking about NewSpace, often key technologies are mentioned, which are small satellite constellations for global communication and Earth observation, reusable launch system, or applications and services integrating space data for non-space sectors for different verticals, such as agriculture, for example, or transportation. I'm referring to them a little bit later with respect to what is happening in BavAIRia. But before, let me give you some insights on the Bavarian space and space application scene. In total, 38,000 people were employed in the Bavarian aerospace sector in around 550 companies. BavAIRia is the region with the largest number of actors in space and space applications in Germany. So around 27% of all actors are based in BavAIRia in the area around Munich. BavAIRia is home to key players of the European space and global space and space application scene, international operating companies, such as Airbus Defence and Space, OHB, MT Aerospace, and numerous innovative small and medium-sized companies, and of course startups. Startups like, for example, ESA Aerospace, which is starting its first launch by the beginning of next week. And in addition, we have internationally renowned research institutes like the DLR Institutes, the Max Planck Institutes, the Fraunhofer Institutes, and universities like the Technical University of Munich. In total, we have 6 research institutes and 8 universities. So the space actors are covering the entire value chain, and strategic initiatives by the Bavarian state government are supporting the positioning of the region as German Space Valley. What facilitates the collaboration with the non-space sectors, with new verticals and support to address new markets, especially for the space downstream sector, is the Bavarian ecosystem and its actors. Just to give you an idea, I highlighted the clusters of the Bavarian Cluster Initiative, which show the broad variety of topics covered by the Bavarian industry and research. In addition, I just want to give you a brief overview of the Bavarian space strategy. As mentioned before already, 10 fields of action have been identified and are addressed by this strategy, which are of relevance when we are talking of NewSpace as well. I'm not going to into detail to all of these points, but just want to mention some of them. So, for example, the expansion of the support for space startups. The state government will strengthen basic application-oriented research into satellite technology and thrive for technological leadership in small satellites. Here we address key technologies of NewSpace, as I mentioned before. The same is to establish BavAIRia as a leading location for the development and production of technologies for launch vehicles, with different payloads. As I mentioned before, ESA Aerospace will launch the first one next week. In addition, last year, the cabinet meeting of the Bavarian state government in September emphasized the increasing importance of space technologies as key driver for innovation and economic growth. It highlighted the importance of space for economy and society, stating that space must be recognized as a strategic sector and politically prioritized. It called on the federal government to develop a German economy policy for space, increase its budget for space, support EU-wide cooperation, and last but not least, to create a German space law. The cabinet was addressing Bavaria's own space initiatives as well, which are listed here, like the Lunar Control Center in Oberpfaffenhofen, the Talent Hub at the Technical University of Munich, the Faculty of Aerospace and Geodesy, technology funding in order to support satellite technologies, launch system and security projects, startup financing through BavAIRia Capital in order to really strengthening space startups, and BavAIRia, the Cluster Aerospace and Research Network Munich Aerospace, which means the support of existing network, enhancing cooperation between industry and academia. Only to name a few of these points. Coming to the Cluster Aerospace managed by BavAIRia, where I'm working. The cluster Aerospace is managed by BavAIRia and aiming to link education, research, companies, and other organizations, such as public authorities, as well as politics, with each other to benefit the Bavarian space ecosystem. BavAIRia is an association and has more than 340 members in the field of space and space applications, as well as aviation. Regarding space and space application, the actors are covering lots of topics. So on the right side of this slide, you see the technological expertise of Bavarian space actors. Coming back to our topic today, coming back to NewSpace and its relation or meaning for BavAIRia. The European Space Policy Institute mentioned key trends driving new space sectoral dynamics, which are new industry verticals in space markets, substantial investment, market disruptive solutions, innovative industrial approaches, new entrants and entrepreneurs, as well as innovative public procurement and support schemes. I'm going to show you how these trends are being taken up or being addressed in BavAIRia. Of course, this will be only an example, and I think there are many more things. How do the Bavarian activities look like with respect to these key trends? Maybe you have in mind what I told you before, what I presented before, and then you see that BavAIRia is addressing the key trends in NewSpace as well as NewSpace technologies. For example, the support schemes mentioned here can be related to the technology funding as mentioned in the high-tech agenda of BavAIRia to support satellite technologies, launch systems, and security projects. Bavarian ecosystem supports the space industry to address new verticals and markets, as I showed you before, with respect to the cluster initiative. The emergence of new startups and entrepreneurs are supported by initiatives like the ISABIC, or are supported by financing through BavAIRia Capital. And as I told you before, the cabinet meeting of the Bavarian state government in September called for a national economy for policy and for space, which can be related to these key trends as well. So you see, BavAIRia is addressing key trends in space, in NewSpace, as well as NewSpace technologies. Coming to the geopolitical impacts of NewSpace technologies for BavAIRia. For BavAIRia, this implies, of course, job growth, innovation support, and regional economic benefits spilling over into other sectors, into other non-space sectors. We see the importance of international collaboration, and thus the cluster aerospace supports these collaboration in various ways. And of course, the Bavarian space stakeholders are working on an international level in EU and ESA programs, as well as in international programs around the globe. Of course, I see challenges and risks coming with the developments in new space, such as raising space debris, disputes over space resources exploitations, and rising concerns over space conflicts. For all of these things, solutions have to be discussed and initiatives have to be taken to overcome these challenges and mitigate the risks, which I mentioned here. In blue, you see what should be done. My conclusions. NewSpace is transforming the geopolitical and economic landscapes while offering significant opportunities. It also introduces new challenges, particularly around governance, security, and resource rights. International cooperation is seen as important. It has to be coupled with careful regulations, and innovation, of course, is essential to ensuring space benefits for all humans across the globe. So recommendations are to emphasize the importance of global collaboration and forward-thinking policies to navigate the evolving space environment, and encourage ongoing joint research and diplomacy to shape a peaceful, sustainable future in space. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me here. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you very much, Bärbel, for these interesting presentations, for your insights. Now, dear people who joined us here, it's your turn. If you have any questions, we invite you to raise your hand, or if you prefer, you can also write a question in the chat. Meanwhile, while you think about your questions, I would like to take the opportunity to pose the first one. Well, thank you both for the presentations. You highlighted in your presentations also the regulatory frameworks in the EU and in Germany, and sub-state or subnational level strategies, including the DETA Alliance. But if you allow me, I would like to focus on the bigger picture, where these regulations also aim to have an impact. Could you tell us briefly how space technologies are reshaping the global balance of power in these times? I don't know who wants to take the lead. Please go ahead.
Okay, I can go on this one. Well, as I was mentioning in the presentation, regions have a role in this new framework of NewSpace. And I would say that we are really the ones that can work really well, what we call the last mile. I mean, we are the closest to the end users, to the local challenges, to the specificities of our territories. And we think it's really important, I mean, the work with these European programs in a more systematic way. In order to develop solutions and programs that they are doing. I mean, as we have, you know, this last mile more close to us. And this is going on. I mean, this is a change we are seeing. So recently we have been with USPA, with show that are willing to really work in a more systematic way. And also in another aspect, not so political, let's say, I think Bärbel was mentioning it, and I already did it. I mean, how SMEs and startups are getting into the field and are really powerful agents that can accelerate innovation, collaborating with more established companies. What is needed here is how we address the fact of that public funds can also reach these SMEs. This is something that, well, now we are seeing tenders where consortiums are required, and some percentage sometimes is required on SMEs. But we have programs like Irish too, where, well, we are seeing how it's going really to work that. So yes, we have challenges and opportunities here.
Thank you, Verónica. Would you like to add something, Bärbel?
Yeah, I think this NewSpace approach somehow increases time to market, commercial things, and reduces costs. And collaborating all across Europe, this really gives a great ecosystem all across the European regions, which helps us in order to be as Europe, not as region at the forefront of space and space technologies. And of course, when we see in the past the development of Galileo and Copernicus, that were major benefits for Europe. Galileo, which is more accurate than GPS, or Copernicus, which is widely used, and applications and services are being developed integrating this. So I think Europe did a great step together all across Europe, and we were collaborating, or our actors were all collaborating. And now I see additional chances regarding this NewSpace approach, which maybe puts more speed in it, and has the ability to even reduce the costs. So we will see. I think it's an interesting time which we are facing right now.
Totally.
If you allow, we have a question in the chat that is directly related to this. How can regions like Catalonia and BavAIRia contribute to strengthen this Europe's space sector?
Just to give you an example, this raised in the last DITA work group meeting. You know that European funds a lot of times ask for consortiums, for companies, international consortiums. And so the question raised how we could help in accelerating the knowledge between ecosystems. And seeing how even from the government and cluster sites and so how we can work in a more systematic way to achieve this. So helping the ecosystems to and facilitate them the access to these calls.
May I add something? I think Verónica and the Catalan colleagues initiated this data initiative in order to really support at the end a collaboration between regions. We are doing it as cluster as well. And so if we are working bilaterally on topics, we can push these topics. So only to mention one, which was on Verónica's slides before, that was the spacesuit projects. We are working with the Catalan colleagues there as well in order really to support and foster the up and reskilling of people in satellite communication, Earth observation, and GNSS. And this is somehow how we are pushing topics and moving things ahead.
Thank you very much. If someone who is joining us from the audience wanting to pose a question, please go ahead.
Everyone, thanks for the presentation. I have a question. So I work for a UK company, but I have a question for small startup and entrepreneurs that want to start a company in the space sector in Catalonia. So my question is whether there are tax reliefs or tax benefits or any other kind of supporting net available to accelerate or support the growth.
Yes, regarding our competencies, I would say that we work really close with our trade agency that is called Axio. And there are a lot of, let's say, programs and some funds to help and to track, let's say, activity to Catalonia. So the way it's worked is that we see specifically the project that this company is, giving us, or the activity that is expected in Catalonia, the moment of this company, and so on, depending on that. So together with Axio, several program lines are worked with together. So it's more on project basis.
Okay, thank you. And just a quick follow-up. So it's project basis on like grants or yearly grants, or it's ad hoc basis? Like, can this be, can Axio be contacted anytime there's a new project, or like it's seasonal?
No, they can be contacted at any moment. And normally what they ask you for the first time is a kind of form with a specific information about your company, your activity, your plans, and starting at that moment. So the conversation starts, and we work together just to see the possibilities for this activity into Catalonia. Yeah.
Thank you.
And in any case, don't hesitate to contact me, so I can put you in contact if you want. Yeah.
Thanks. I've already friended you on LinkedIn, so yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great to see that the context
Yeah.
just happening
in the network.
live. Yeah, I think we might have time for one additional question. If someone of you wants to pose a question, please go ahead, turn on your microphone or write in the chat. This is your last opportunity. Okay, I have another question,
Okay.
if you allow me.
Yeah, sure.
As you said, well, we are witnessing a new space race, and it might pose governance gaps and maybe also ethical dilemmas in areas such as security, global inequality. Could you give us a very brief insight of this very important topic about how policymakers can address these challenges?
Well, this is a really a touchy one. Yeah, this is being on the table, and Catalonia has a long-standing tradition of supporting, peace, human rights, solidarity. These are values really aligned to what Europe represents. But really, these last times, Europe is facing complex challenges. So, in the eastern border, we have Russia's violent actions against some free democratic countries, so threatening the stability of even Europe. And then on the other side, we have traditional allies like the United States that are, shifting priorities and, risking a trade war even that could harm both Europe and US. So in this situation, in response to these complex situations, Catalonia is willing to support Europe in the efforts to strengthen their their autonomy, mainly at the technology capacities level. For sure, Catalonia, we don't have competencies on defense, but we have a strong ecosystem that can provide solutions on the security side. And I like a lot two words in English, because in Catalan we have the word seguretat, but in English I think there are two words that represent quite a lot. What I want to say is that they are safety and security. So Catalonia, we are really strong on safety solutions to address and to adapt to climate situations, what we call the climate intelligence. And also, for example, in fields like forestry, fishery, and also the monitoring of critical infrastructures that maybe is in the border of security. So, well, somehow we are willing to be aligned with Europe's efforts on this.
Maybe I can add something on this. I think we need framework condition at European level in which we all collaborate and agree how we collaborate. And this year, for example, there is the discussion ongoing on a European space law, which should be there in, I think, the third quarter of 2025. And I think this is a step in the right direction, which will address hopefully some of the points raised by Verónica.
Well, and thank you both for your presentations, for answering all the questions. We have a thing that in Germany we call Punktlandung. So it's being just on time. Just let me say thank you to Bärbel Deisting, thank you to Verónica Tercero for joining us, also to all of you who have been listening and posing questions. You can keep in touch with us for further discussions, further projects. Who knows what the future has there for us. We will see if we can give you the presentations afterwards. And if you need anything, you can also always contact the delegation of the government of the Catalan government in Germany. We're here for you. Thank you very much, and see you in the next Catalonia Tech Talk.
Thank you very much. A pleasure.
Thank you very much, and have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Have a nice weekend.
Everyone. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.